All right, Fresh. Let's go to the best game for our early season or early week rivalry week. And best game. This is Friday night, 8:30. The game that was once referred to as the Civil War. This is, you know what? I have no problem calling it the Civil War. It's Oregon State. It's Oregon State traveling to Eugene, Oregon, playing the Ducks. The Ducks trying to do everything in their power to get the committee's attention. Right now, at time of record, Oregon is a 13.5 point favorite. Over under is set at 62.5. Folks, I'm going to jump fresh here for a second and say take the over in this game. I think this is going to be a lot of points in this football game. Bo Nix is going to need to ball out. It's a Heisman opportunity for him. Eyes of the nation are watching him on Friday night. This is going to be a good one, though, Fresh, because that Oregon State team, they battled Washington through a torrential downpour. And if it wasn't for Oregon State getting a little bit cute there in the third quarter, I think they could have beat Washington. So there's talent on this Beavers team. So Oregon's got to take them seriously.
Oh, no doubt. I actually think we should call this, if they're going to get away from the Civil War, let's call this the Goonies game, and the winner gets the One-Eyed Willie's treasure.
There you go.
Or the Truffle Shuffle at halftime. I
Truffle
think
shuffle.
we can make this all happen. This
Yeah.
is going to be an amazing game. The one thing that it kind of worries me, though, about Oregon State, did they use up all their magic and all their grit last week? Because that was a hard foot game at home. They had a chance, losing by 2. They battle all through, against the Huskies. Do they have enough left in the tank to play another elite football team in a short week? Does Damian Martinez have something left in the tank to go out there and run for another 150, 160 and be the bell cow for the Beavers? Does DJU and that receiving core have enough left to throw and compete with this Oregon Duck offense? Because, you know, Bo Nix, right now, I think, I'm going to say this right now, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix are number 1, number 2 in the Heisman campaign. I think Penix Jr. sort of fallen off. This is one of those kind of games where LSU only has 1 game left. Bo Nix has this game and potentially a Pac-12 title game to compress the committee. If he has a chance, Dan Lanning's going to let him go off. So how does Oregon State's defense corral Troy Clifford Franklin, Bucky Irvin, Bo Nix, and the entire Oregon Duck offense in Eugene? The lights are bright. The nation's watching. It's not after dark. It's not a 10 o'clock kick. It's 8:30. People are watching this football game and tuning in. This is a big task for Coach Jonathan Smith and the Oregon State Beaver team to bounce back a week after. They don't have a cupcake in between to get themselves reset and reload and come into this football game. I think that's a lot. That's a test. If they can come in this game and compete, that's a huge testament to the way they built that entire depth of that program and the way how focused they are and true they are. Just rivalry games, crazy things happen. This is unlike no other. Crazy things do happen. Speaking of weird games, I'm going to sidebar real quick because this game just blows my mind when I was diving into the annals of the Civil War. 1983 Toilet Bowl game. 0-0 final score. 11 combined fumbles, 6 were lost, 5 interceptions, and 4 missed field goals. Folks, that is a pure rivalry game. That's like a backyard family going after it, but nobody can score. Just everyone hitting the ball and punching it out, running around the slop in the mud. That's the kind of game I don't think we're going to have on Friday night. But this shows you where that game will go down. They fought and they made sure nobody scored, and somehow they tied. They allowed the tie, but they made sure nobody scored, and it was just a brawl. That's the kind of game this has to be for the Beavers to get after it. They've got to slow this down and make this a brawl. They need to bring it down to their level, muck it up, make it ugly, take the air out of the football, run the ball hard, convert your third downs. Do not let Bo Nix and that Oregon Duck offense get going. If they get going, I don't think you guys have the way to keep it up. You have to literally play the exact same way you played versus the Huskies. You need to pray for rain, pray for cold, play for sleet, whatever you can get. But you've got to make sure it's an ugly football game and make them play on your terms. Do not get in a track meet with the Ducks. Because right now, I personally think the Ducks are even better than the Huskies. And if they get a rematch, they're going to blow the brakes off the Washington Huskies. This is a chance right here. You cannot let them get that momentum because they're going to go put on a show and impress the committee to try to find a way to get themselves in that conversation to sneak in and get that 4 spot. They are right there, and they're looking, and they're hunting, and they're hungry to make that impression. Dan Lanning coached under Nick Saban and under Kirby Smart. He knows when he has to push the buttons, and he will go for the kill shot and put up points just to impress the committee if he has to, folks. You cannot let that happen if you're Oregon State. You've got to muck it up, keep it close, make it ugly. If you lose in a close game, no harm, no foul. If you lose in a blowout fashion in a rivalry game, that's going to hurt this trajectory of this program because you've had last year, this year, you're building something, trying to get another 10-win season. All these things are happening positively for your program outside of the Pac-12 kind of dissolving, and you got you and Washington State trying to hold together with the Mountain West going on forward next year. But you have built something that's strong. This is a chance for you to cap it off and give a nice little goodbye to Oregon. Look what Oklahoma State did to Oklahoma and Bedlam. They said a goodbye in the best fashion to your rival you possibly could. Use that motivation. Go dig deep and go find it. You play tough, play aggressive, hit people in the mouth. Do not let Oregon get it rolling. If they do, it could be a tough night. But I have a feeling Jonathan Smith has a great program. This is going to be a lot tighter than people think. Oregon will not blow them out. Oregon will win. This will be another gritty battle. It'll be a great football game, full four-quarter brawl. I'm saying 34-27. Oregon scores late, holds on. But this is going to be a great football game. Might actually be the second best game of the weekend behind some other game up in the Mitten State on Saturday at noon.
Yeah, Fresh. I watched majority of the Oregon State-Oregon game, or I'm sorry, Oregon State-Washington game this past weekend. And I was trying to flip between that and the UF Missouri game and the Kansas State game, trying to watch 3 games at once. And the interesting thing was, I thought Oregon State had Washington on the ropes. And for some reason, the third quarter, Oregon State went away from Damian Martinez. And I was watching Damian Martinez, and the thing that stuck out, especially against Washington with him, is how he's got like this wide body, like for him. He's got these like thick shoulders as a running back. And the guy I was watching the game with, said he reminds him a lot of Corey Dillon. And I was like, that's actually a really good comparison for a running back there. And I was thinking more and more about this because that game came down to Washington couldn't stop Damian Martinez from running the football. And kind of Oregon State let Washington back in, like, win that football game. They didn't take it away from Washington. Oregon State is a different team in Corvallis. They're going up to Eugene. This game means a lot to the Ducks. I know we've talked all year long about Troy Clifford Franklin, one of our favorite replacement wide receivers there. That kid is balling out. He really may be a first-team All-American this year. We got a couple of wide receivers that are going to have a good argument outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. on the opposite side of him. Bo Nix is basically is rewriting his own story. It's like the Auburn years never happened for him. And especially if he wins the Heisman, then he completely rewrites that story. And how bad is Auburn going? I wish we had Bo Nix right now. I'm with you, Fresh. I think Dan Lanning knows how important this game is. I know Oregon is going to be just sitting outside begging for another chance at Washington and Las Vegas. That game's going to be very interesting because I think both of those teams can really exploit the other side of them. I think that game is going to be an absolute shootout. But Oregon's got to win this football game to get there. Because if they don't, then we get into all sorts of things getting funky like a monkey. Because there's a possibility of, if Oregon doesn't win this football game, they didn't play Arizona. Arizona, I believe, will now go to the Big 12 title or Pac-12 title game over Oregon. And who had that on their bingo card? Like,
I had him as a team on the rise. I didn't have him playing for the title.
Like, seriously, amazing job out of them. But I think that with all the things that I'm saying is exactly what Dan Lanning is going to be saying to Oregon, is that everything is in front of you. You control your own destiny. Because here's the thing. Someone's going to lose in the game. in Ann Arbor. Florida State, now that they've lost Jordan Travis, have a really tough road to hoe against even Florida. I mean, the Gators are a different team, and then a tough road to hoe against Louisville in the ACC title game. All of a sudden, there is a very clear pathway for Oregon to get into maybe even the third spot in the college football playoff rankings. Oregon's going to win this football game fresh. I think Oregon State is going to hang around. But sooner or later, unless Oregon State hits them so hard that their clothes are out of style, if you want to quote the Goonies right there, that's going to be the type of game it's going to need to be. It's going to have to be a slugfest. Oregon State's going to really have to just trust Fenwick and Martinez all game long. I don't think they're going to be able to slow the game down enough. I think Oregon's going to put up some points quick, fast, in a hurry. They'll be up front, and you're going to have to put the ball in DJU's hand. And I just don't think he can go touchdown for touchdown against Bo Nix. I think this game stays close for about a half. And in the second half, all of a sudden, Oregon pulls away. I'm going to say Oregon covers the 13.5 in this game, but definitely take the over in my mind. And we're going to have a heck of a Pac-12 title game rematch next week in Las Vegas.
I mean, first off, how mad are the Auburn fans at themselves right now for running Bo Nix out of Auburn? They think they could have probably used him, playing New Mexico State this past week. That's just me.
Yeah. About Auburn and New Mexico State, we're going to have to save that for the Iron Bowl because I got some stuff on that.
Yeah, we'll save that one for another game.
You got to be kidding me. Like, I looked at that and said, oh, Auburn doesn't care.